right, question number 1. We do, in standard form, you always put the biggest exponents first, and we reviewed that before we took the test. So then it was 2x squared, and then the x came next, and then there was the term with no x's at all. If I count the terms, it said classify by the number of terms, which means that you were supposed to count them. Oh, I'm not. If you classify the polynomial by the number of terms, this is a 1, 2, 3 nomial, like a triceratops, so it's a trinomial. I need to change my grading because some people called this a coefficient, and that's actually true. This is a coefficient. But what I was looking for was monomial. So if I graded you wrong for saying coefficient, I need to go back and you might go up a little bit. This is a monomial, and this was a binomial. When I am multiplying two powers, what do I do with the numbers, the exponents? What do I do with the numbers? I add them. So I'm going to put this invisible 1 here, and it's going to be b to the 4 plus 1 is 5. This one is 4 to the 4 plus 3 is 7. Now, I had a lot of people that were also doing 4 times 4. You don't do 4 times 4 to make 16. You leave the base. So did the b change here? No. So the 4 doesn't change either. So that's just 4 caret 7. Alright, this one we did together. It was x to the negative third, y to the negative 8, which was none of the above. That answer was not on the test if you looked at it carefully. So some people picked either the 8 was positive or the 3 was positive, but that's not correct. So it was none of the above. Ken, thank you. And then here I'm going to put invisible 1s, 1, 1, and now I add x to the 1 plus 1 is 2, and y to the 1 plus negative 5. So that's x to the 2, y to the, we just practiced this one, negative 5, negative 4. Alright. If there's coefficients as well as exponents, you multiply the coefficients and add the exponents. So this is 9 times 3 makes 27. C to the 6 and 6 make 12. Same thing here, but a lot of people find it convenient or less confusing if you put in the invisible 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. P to the 8 plus 2 is 10. Alright, a lot of people put negative 1 for some reason. I think they added negative 2 and positive 1, but you're supposed to multiply the coefficients. This one we did together. You multiply the coefficients and get 14, and then add the exponents. Same thing here. Multiply the coefficients. What do you get, Jaylene? Negative 42. A to the 2 plus 4 is 6. B to the 8, not 7. There's a B right there. 1 plus 7 makes 8. All right, and that's the first page. Are there any further questions on the first page? All right, in this case, there's a missing value, and I've got this quantity C times this quantity 9. C times 9 gives me this quantity. C times 9 is 18. So what does C have to be? 2. 2 times 9 is 18. And I got that by multiplying the coefficients. And then I can add the exponents. 3 plus D makes 6. So 3 plus what makes 6? 3 plus what makes 6? 3. Okay, so the answers there were 2 and 3. Same thing here. Something times negative 6 is positive 12. Something times negative 6 is positive 12. Ingram, what do you think? Something times negative 6 is 12, and what is that something? Negative 2? Why did it have to be negative? Ingram, why was it negative 2? I'll pause. Okay, and then 2 plus what quantity makes 5? 2 plus B makes 5. B is 3. Okay, these we've been practicing forever. So this term you bring straight down because there's no other quantity of a cube. And then this one and this one you can combine. What is B plus 6B? John, what's B plus 7B, 6B? This one here. That's right, 7b. Okay, and then 1 negative and 6 negatives makes how many negatives? 7 negatives. By far, the problem that most people thought was the hardest was subtracting, and it's because they forgot to distribute the negative first. When you have a negative on the outside, you distribute the negative first. So I'm going to draw an example up here of how to distribute a negative like you learned in 3rd grade. 3 minus negative 2. Now what you learned in 3rd grade was that if you have a minus in front of another minus, you have to keep flip change. You have to keep flip change. So this you keep. You don't do anything with the leading term. Doesn't have anything to do with it. This minus you flip. So that it's now a positive. And when you do that, that means you have to change this sign. And what you're really doing is a negative times a negative equals a positive. So a negative times a negative is a positive. And so 2 negatives make positive 2. I'm going to do the same thing here. I want everybody to flip this sign so that it becomes positive. I'm going to distribute the negative. So has everybody flipped that sign? To do that, you probably need your pencil in your hand. Okay, so I'm going to flip this sign. And when I do that, I'm going to change both of these signs. So I'm subtracting both of these things. So I'll do that again. I leave these alone. That's my keep. Flip this, and then these 2 signs have to change. So this becomes negative, and this becomes negative. When you are subtracting a polynomial, you have to keep flip change. In other words, you distribute the negative first. Okay, and now I'm going to add my like terms. This is a cube. There's no other cubes. This is a square. There's no other squares. This is a k, and there's no other k's. And so the entire problem is just 1 minus 1. 1 minus 1 makes, I'm talking about this plus 1 and this minus 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. And so I'm done. Now, the way to do that problem again was to distribute the negative, or another way of saying that is keep flip change, and then you combine your like terms. When there's a minus, you have to keep flip change, just like you do when you learn this in 3rd grade. Alright, for this one, I'm doing m plus t makes 9, so I add these 2 quantities, and that makes 9. A plus 7 makes 9, so a was 2. And then I add the x term, 6 plus b. 6 plus b is 4, and so that was negative 2. Alright, this time I'm going to notice that there's a minus right here. And I learned in the last problem, when there's a minus, I have to distribute first, which means all the signs are going to change. Jose, what did I just say? Please keep your eyes on the board and you'll be able to pay attention better. Because of this minus, I have to change the signs. Which one do I change all the signs of? The P or the Q? Which one's the keep and which one's the change? Which one do I keep? P or Q? So this was the keep. I'm going to keep all these signs the same, but this one I'm subtracting, and so I'm going to change all those signs. So I'm going to flip this sign, and when I do that, I'm going to change all these. The 7 becomes negative, the 2b becomes positive, and the negative 5 becomes positive. And I did that because I was subtracting. Okay, and now I'm going to add my like terms. Negative 4 and negative 7. I'll call on somebody for this in just a second. We're talking about negative 4 and negative 7, the b squared terms. I'm combining them. Edna, what is negative 4 and negative 7? No, this is the first time I've called that Edna. Negative 11, So negative 11 in the b squared terms. Now notice I didn't do anything to the square. And now I'm going to do the b terms. 6 and 2. Yes, I am waiting for somebody to tell me 6 and 2. 8, and then it was a b. And this is the hardest one, negative 9 and positive 5. Negative 4. Okay, so that answer was negative 11b squared plus 8b minus 4.